Hi guys, so welcome to Data Science with Pablo, and in this playlist for Introduction to Data Visualization, we are going to be talking about subplotting in data visualization. Now, the first thing we want to do is to talk about the concept itself, the concept of subplotting. It's important to talk about the intuition. Now, the first thing is subplotting is used is a way of creating visuals, of creating multiple plots within a single figure, right? So it's useful when you want to compare several data sets, right? So again, it is typically for creating multiple plots within a single figure, and a single figure is like a single visual, right? Right. So that's that. Now, what is the intuition, right? The intuition is to compare several data sets side by side, or visualize different aspects of data simultaneously. So this is visualize different aspects of data simultaneously. Right. So this allows for a lot of things, but one of the major things it allows for is coherent presentation, right? So it allows for coherent presentation. Also, it facilitates easy comparison, right? So easy comparison. Now, so that's one aspect of it. Now, in the second cell, I'm going to talk about libraries, right? Now, one common library for that handles subplotting pretty well is matplotlib. So this is a library that handles it appropriately, right? So it's typically dividing the plotting windows into grids, and it's defined by rows and columns, right? So also here is typically an expression that would help when you are creating a subplot. So you will typically have, so let me call this expression. No, expression or syntax. Let me see. Of course, there's going to be. So you typically would have plt.subplot, and then we are going to have we're going to define it by the number of rows and the number of columns. So you're going to have n rows and calls, and of course index, which determines the position of maybe a particular plot in the grid. So so that's what this is. Right. So now that we've had this first part out of the way, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to walk through examples. So here I'm going to have an example. Right. So let's assume that we are analyzing economic data. So let's put that at the back of our minds. We are analyzing economic data. First things first, we have to import libraries. Okay, so let me make this a subheading. That makes the documentation really good. So let's make this right. So first things first, we have to import libraries. Right, so I'm going to import matplotlib. And we're going to be using the pyplot function, and I'll give it an alias, SPLT. Of course, the usual suspects. We're going to import pandas as PD, and we're also going to import numpy as NP. So this is the first thing we do here. So I'll just run this. Next, we have to have data, right? So first, I'm also going to construct the sample data. Now for the sample data, we're going to have years, and in here, I'm going to use numpy's np.arange, and so I'm going to basically have 2 years here, 2010 and 2021. And then next, we're going to have GDP underscore growth. And here, I'm going to use np.random.uniform. So you want to know what this does. You can see it draws samples from a uniform distribution. So we're going to have that. And pretty, not so much. We're going to have 1 to 5. And then the size is going to be equals 11. Then we're going to have unemployment underscore rate. And here we're going to have np.random.uniform. Again, you see what that is. We're going to have like 5, 10. Then we're going to have size equals 11. Then we're going to look at inflation rate. So again, you understand that the context here is economic data, so we have to put this regular guys here. Then here we're going to have 1, 3. Then we're going to have size, which is going to be equals 11. So this is it. This is what we have created here. So we're going to use this. We're now going to use this. We're going to come over here. We're going to come, after we've done this, we're going to come over here and then create a data frame. So here we create a data frame. We'll call this data. And in here, we're going to use pd dot the data frame method. So we're going to use that. And everything inside here, everything that we've created here, are going to be in this dictionary, and they're going to be key value pairs. So first we're going to have years, or year rather, and there's the key value is years. So we've created that here. We're going to have GDP growth. And the key here is going to be the GDP growth that we created. Then we are going to have unemployment rate. And as you know it, we already have unemployment rate here. Then finally, we're going to look at inflation rate. You know, so typically you would think, oh, why don't I just copy and paste all this? But no, I typically want a situation where I get to have folks who are learning pick up certain skills, like creating stuff like this that helps or makes for, you know, developing your Python knowledge, and then, you know, writing code intuitively. So next thing, we have data. So we're just going to look at our data right now. So this is our data frame. So this is the data frame. And so you can see what we've created. We have created all this, and you can see this is it. Now, the next thing we are going to do is now we're going to create subplots, right? So the next headline here is going to be to create subplots. So over here. All right. So first things first, I'm going to create the plt.figure because I want to determine the size of what the subplot will look like. Right. So the first thing I'll do here, I'm going to go plt.figure. So this typically will just show us, it will create a new figure and then tell us how that's going to be. So I want the fig size to be and the fig size is going to be a tuple of like the length and the breadth or the width typically. So we have 10 by 8. And then we're going to now have our first subplot. So here, so we have subplot 1, and subplot 1 is going to be on GDP. Going to be on GDP growth. So first off, okay, maybe typically now I might just do a bit of copying and pasting just to help out, because the first intro part helped out see. So here we could just look at this. So now, so here we have plt.subplot. Now remember, you see, we're not looking at subplots which are going to be, remember if we go back here, we talked about subplots, creating multiple plots within a single figure. So this is our single figure, and we're going to have subplots. We also mentioned the expression, which is going to be number of rows, columns, and index, right? So that's what we are going to be looking at here. So here, with what we have here we have 3 rows, 1 column, and the first subplot, which is our index. So you see, that's that. And typically what we have is data, and it's the year, and the marker is this, and then we set up our color, and then we have the GDP growth over years in percentage. That's the first one. Now, second, we are going to have a subplot. So this is subplot 2, and so this is unemployment. This is the unemployment rate. Again, here I will we've done the first writing of the code, so it's just appropriate that now you can understand how we get through this part, right? So here you can see that this is the subplot, which is now 3 rows, 1 column, and the second subplot, right? And of course we're looking at unemployment rate, and we're going to see all this when it's done, right? Then we are now going to the subplot 3, and subplot 3 is inflation rate. So it's inflation rate. And again, I'm just going to show you what this is. And so now if you look over here, you can see our 3 plots are set. Again, the first subplot tells you can see what the subplots, the roles they play. They tell us, these are subplots within our main plot. And of course, you can see we see the plots we're having. We're referencing our data, right? We're also referencing, you see here, we're referencing the different columns in our data. We can see the different columns: years, GDP growth, unemployment rate, and inflation rate. Right, we're referencing all that, and then yes, and we all give them, you can see RGB, which is typically red, green, blue, right? Then our markers are going to be like little O's here, right? Then we have the titles, we have the labels, and also so this is made possible by making use of this very interesting library here, which is matplotlib. Of course, there's always the conversation that why don't we use Seaborn, but with matplotlib you get to take ownership of different aspects of your plot, right? So here we will just adjust the layouts so that so we can prevent overlaps. so we can prevent overlaps. And then here we write plt dot tight underscore layouts, right? And we just want to be sure that's there. And then the final part, so that we can see our plot, is plt dot show. So here we get to see our plot. So let's run this, and hopefully we don't have any error. So see how lovely that is, right? So these are subplots. You can see within a whole plot, right, we've created 3 subplots aligned in a single column. You can see the way they are all aligned. So this is what a subplot looks like, and each subplot displays different economic indicators, from inflation rate over the years to unemployment rate over the years and the GDP rate over the years. And you can see the colors, you know, blue, red, green, right? And so which we typically, you know, indicated as we walked through all this. Right, so that's typically that. And just like we mentioned earlier on in the intuition, right, so in the intuition over here, you say it's for, you know, we want to visualize different aspects of data simultaneously, coherent presentation, easy comparison. So there's a lot, but that's typically what it is. So please take time and watch this, and then try to understand how the subplot works. It helps when you're starting out as a data scientist and you're walking through the data analysis track.